Welcome to episode 643 of the Barcelona podcast, brought to you by the Blue Wire Podcast Network. I'm De Hilton, and Barca is, of course, stressful off the field. What's new? That's to be expected, especially when transfer windows are opening or closing and all that rigmarole. But on the field, at least against Barbastro, things were not so stressful today, so that is the silver lining. As is the case always with Barcelona, there's good, there is bad. Now in 2025, if you don't want me to stress, the best thing you could do is leave a comment below the YouTube video. Even if you're listening on a podcast app, head over to YouTube, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment under the video, give it a like, do all that stuff to push it, because I am still trying to work on sponsors for the 2025 calendar year, I should say. And so all that engagement and stuff really helps me a ton, as well as becoming a Patreon for as low as $3 or becoming a member for free and joining the chat over on Big Up, where I do all the watch-alongs, which is what I did for this match. And I think we should talk about it now. Here are the 5 headlines from Barcelona's 4-0 win over Barbastro in the Copa del Rey. Headline 1 is registration rejection. Here's the bad news, and I hate that I have to waste, and I do say waste, a headline on what is really embarrassing and frustrating for Barcelona. If I had to trust my gut at the moment, I would say that Dani Olmo will not be suiting up for Barcelona here in the spring. I think what we've heard as far as the information and misinformation is really frustrating. I have tried my best to cover this as well. What we know at the moment is that the REF and La Liga have rejected any idea that Barcelona had to register Dani Olmo and Pau Victor. I'll explain that in a second as to the stance as the REF took to reject it. Will they play in the Champions League because they're already registered there? I don't think so. They have to re-register, and I've seen that UEFA does take their registration from domestic competitions, or from the federation, I'd say, not from domestic competitions, but from the federations, and that bleeds over. But then others have also said that they would be able to play in European competition in UEFA, but they would be ineligible. We know they would be ineligible to play in anything that is Spanish Federation sanctioned, which would be Spanish Super Cup, Copa del Rey, or La Liga. Dani Olmo, now here's where I think critics get it right. The fact that Dani Olmo was registered only because Anders Christensen was out for that injury. They didn't register him because of the injury. So that's the only reason Olmo was originally registered to play in the first half of the season, which is kind of indictment on how that was all going to work. However, it was supposed to be the Nike deal. It was supposed to be the other money coming in. And all of that did not get improved in time. That money didn't come in time. And even though Barcelona, it looks like they will be approved, so it feels like Barcelona, yes, they're getting back to the 1-to-1, but even getting back to the 1-to-1 is not helping them to register Dani Olmo and Pau Victor, because they did not get that in time to have both Olmo and Pau Victor with their salary limit registered by December the 31st, which goes into why that they were not able to. I know this is all very confusing, which is why Barcelona would potentially be able to sign somebody else, but wouldn't be able to register those two again. Because the latest here, as I'm recording this, Barca will appeal to the Superior Sports Council to register the two players. The club will request a precautionary measure that is going to come on Tuesday. So Barcelona fans would have to wait to see if they could play on Wednesday in the Spanish Super Cup against Athletic Club. It seems like not. The players have been told that Barca's request has been rejected, and while they are frustrated, it seems like they both are kind of stick around and hope to see that Barcelona in court could figure this one out, because the official REF statement said that the registration of those two players was refused on the basis of Articles 130.2 and 141.5, which everybody knows, obviously. That prevents a player whose license is canceled from, during the course of the same season, obtaining a license in the same club team to which he was already linked. So with all that said, I don't know why the court would look at this and overrule it in favor of Barcelona. I know that the club is optimistic and that journalists around the club are optimistic, but my gut says that you will not see Dani Olmo and Pau Victor playing for Barcelona until next season. That is just what my club is saying, and I don't mean to be too pessimistic, because being pessimistic about it doesn't make my job any easier. Optimistically, though, going into this match, to refocus the Barbastro for other 4 headlines, I was hoping that Pablo Torre could have a really good match in place of Dani Olmo, and you know what? The good thing is that he did. So let's talk more about that. Headline 2 is welcome back, Ronald. There was more good news for Barcelona, is that Ron Araujo returned to the lineup, and there was a lot of different things going on, shifting in and out. Even I didn't recognize that Danny Rodriguez didn't make the squad because he was suspended from a red card he picked up last season. And when I say last season, I should be reminded that it was Barbastro last season as well for Barcelona. They're in the Huesca region, northeast of Zaragoza, west of Barcelona, on a pitch, regardless of where they are on the map. It was a pitch that I wouldn't even want to play on. So going into this match too, I was also hoping that nobody got hurt. So to have Araujo out for what was about 7 months and then to return to this pitch, it was a little bit worrying, but he commanded the air, didn't put a foot wrong, was awesome. That's your first, it's not even a headline, but that's what you need to know, that Ronald Araujo was ready to go for this match. And I'm glad to see in training, Hansi Flick had slowly ramped him up and did not just throw him in too early. Even if you would have felt like Barcelona needed him, Inigo Martinez, Kubarsi, they were trusted, and Hansi Flick was willing to be patient on the return of Ron Araujo. Good to see. Before this match, too, I saw Toni Fernandez did make the squad, so he made his official first-team debut today, which obviously we know he did, so that was exciting. And then Szczesny also making his Barca debut today, which is also pretty exciting. Eric Garcia, him starting made me think that he will not be leaving for $10 million for Girona, like is being circulated. And I wonder if Christensen and his status is going to be healthy enough to play much in the second half. Now, if he wasn't, then would he just be able to be ruled out again so you could register Olmo? I don't know. But it seems like if Christensen is going to be back sometime in late January or early February, then maybe Eric Garcia is going to be deciding to leave. But having him start today, I don't know. It feels like he's going to be sticking around and going to be trusted, or else Castro just would have played, or maybe it would have been another player from the B team being called up. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm just reading too much into it. Headline 3 is set piece specialist. Let's start talking about Pablo Torre because, as I said with that first headline, him coming in not only to the starting lineup, but he might be playing quite a bit if Dani Olmo isn't going to be registered. 7th minute, he got on the ball early, delivered a ball to Koundé's head that went wide. 10th minute, Fermin delivered a ball that forced a save. Both Torre and Fermin were playing on those left and right wings, respectively, and so they were getting the opportunity, especially with more than 75% possession for the entire game, to drop in a bit deeper. Barbastro was neither pressing very well, nor were they really dropping too much into a sturdy shape. There was space out on the wings for both Torre and for Fermin Lopez, so they were getting on the ball a lot and pinging in those diagonals when they could. Lewandowski, we also knew was going to get a lot of bites at the apple today. Was hoping to see him score at least one, which obviously we know he had the brace. 20th minute, Araujo had his header saved by Arnau, the keeper, from point-blank range. Really good stop, the best of the bunch from the keeper from Barbastro on the corner. He looked like Courtois in disguise at that point, but Barcelona, you know, in these matches, the other teams, the minnows, they can have luck if you give them belief, especially at home with a team that was just chanting, si se puede, you know, the fans just believing, hey, we can, yes, we can, yes, we can. But by the 21st minute, a minute later, not really, they couldn't. The next ball comes in on another corner. It gets punched away by the keeper, but De Jong puts it back in, and Araujo centered it over to Eric Garcia, who was completely unmarked. So De Jong, good ball into Araujo. Araujo won everything in the air today, centers it, and Eric Garcia, as I said, wide open, but made sure that left no doubt into the corner. Good job by all the trio involved, including Pablo Torre, to deliver a dangerous first ball in on the corner, and Barcelona on set piece up 1-0. Fermin, as I said, getting a lot on the ball as well in that first half. Barcelona were also getting him on the ball by overloading the left side because Pablo Torre, he's not at all a right winger. And though he was tracking back, I will say, tracking back to help Koundé quite a bit, which is good to see from Pablo Torre. Another reason why I think even defensively, he was my man of the match. He was pressing, whether, you know, for the fourth goal there that we'll get to, he was pressing at the top of the trident and Lewandowski would drop in, or he was helping Koundé on the right side. I am not always impressed by Pablo Torre's defensive acumen, but he did everything he needed to today on the defensive side of the ball. 26th minute, De Jong in a pocket, Gerard Martin to Fermin Lopez, hitting the top of the crossbar. Fermin just cannot buy a goal at this point. Really frustrating to just have to see his confidence. It's not even that it's shaken. He seems like he's just continuing to fight and fight and fight, but I would love to see him not feel like he has to push so much, because you could feel like he's really pushing to score that goal, and you know that's where you can get hurt. That is where it, you know, you're just not maybe making the right decisions all the time when you're pressing as hard as you are. 31st minute, here comes a 2-0. Pablo Torre, another delivery right to Lewandowski. Didn't get it cleanly on the header, but it hit the arm of the defender and deflected into the goal. So good stuff, Lewandowski. Good stuff, Pablo Torre. as I said, Fermin and Pablo Torre, all those diagonals in the first half. Koundé also making a ton of runs to the near post, trying to get on those diagonals from Fermin Lopez, but yeah, they just couldn't get their connection right today. Araujo, as I said, won every ball in the air in that first half. And it really wasn't a great first half, I thought, from Koundé, but you can give me pushback in the comments or in the social media comments if you want. I also thought De Jong was hot and cold on the day. I don't have too much to say about him, but I thought he was more cold in the first half, but he was much, much better in the second half as Barbastro started to tire. He found more space to dribble into, and I also thought he was cleaner on the ball and worked a lot better in small spaces. Did De Jong. So yeah, much happier with De Jong in the second half. Headline 4, man of the match, Pablo Torre. You know what I love? Yes, winning a Champions League, that's number one. And then scoring goals, I think that might actually be tied with being right. Because I had said on the Big Up stream, which you can see me make predictions, right and wrong in real time to either clown me or give me the confidence that I so deeply, deeply need, the attention that I so deeply, deeply need, of course. So you can join me on Big Up on the watch-alongs for these matches. And on the watch-along, I did say I wanted to see Pedri come off at halftime on this shoddy field for Gavi. And I was right, and I felt good because I was right. But I also felt good because Pedri was not on for the second half to get hurt on that bad field. Now, Gavi did all he could to mix in and potentially get himself injured, but fortunately, it looks like he wasn't hurt either. The 3-0 comes in the 47th minute. Lewandowski might have been offside. That's what it looked like initially for me in live time, but it seems like on the replay, the defender's leg might have kept him on, but I couldn't possibly know because there is no VAR in this cup at this level of the competition. So I don't know. It doesn't matter because the goal counts. It's a 3-0. Still a nice built goal though, so I want to give compliment to the goal. Fermin dropping in deep, as I mentioned, more centrally because Barbastro just was doing a pretty poor job putting pressure on anybody in the middle of the park. He found Pablo Torre in between the lines, and then Torre delivered another terrific ball into the path of Lewandowski, and it's a really easy finish for the Polish striker, picking up his brace there in the 47th minute. 51st minute, Lewandowski, on the negative side of things, got a yellow for stepping on the opposition. Initially, in live time, I also thought this one might have been red card worthy, but then on the replay, you see he was pulling out of the tackle. Still 50-50, and if this one was in the Liga or Champions League and went to VAR, I would have been sweating bricks here, but again, no VAR in a competition where, no offense to the Barbastro players, but they just don't have the name recognition, and the refs kind of just let things carry on. So he gives the yellow to Lewandowski on a foul that would have made me a little worried in other competitions. Then the 4-0 in the 56th minute, Pablo Torre take a bow, pressing, working hard, and sometimes you earn the goals. Yes, sometimes Barbastro makes mistakes here. Picked off the goalkeeper, easily scored. Actually, you know what? Let's go to our tactics board for this one. So now here over on the tactics board, which does answer the question to why do I do the watch-alongs on Big Up? Well, that's because it is a soccer-specific or football-specific streaming service, which is free to join as a member. You can join the chat and all that stuff. So that's why I do this on Big Up. But for this one, here's Pablo Torre. But he actually kind of makes the run from the edge of the box and makes the run at the right time, just times it perfectly. But again, if you're listening to this, I'll try to explain it, but this is more of a joke. But yes, the goalkeeper there at his post doesn't even look. The defender is supposed to be in the right spot, but he doesn't expect Pablo Torre. I guess in the third division, players don't press as good as, again, a first division player would. So the goalkeeper just passed it in to Pablo Torre, who finds the interception and then just smacks the ball in the back of the goal. Tough one for the goalkeeper. Really tough all around. So yes, the fact that I use a tactics board for this is a bit of a joke. Not really much to show you. But as I said, it was a tough day at the office for Barbastro, who they deserved the win against Espanyol, but not necessarily the case against Barcelona. And then headline 5 is no stress is nice. I spent the last few days having to stress about the Olmo and Pau Victor news. I actually had to spend the last few days stressing about the La Masia video that I did with Arsene because those are huge videos that I do. Again, I recommend you check those out. It's about those next players who might be seen in the spring if Olmo and Pau Victor can't play. So they take a lot of work. So I've been stressed out for the off-the-field stuff in the last few days. So having a game with no stress feels pretty good here. For Barca, it might have been a little stress without a bench, though, if things got complicated. When I say not no bench, but a short bench, no Ferran Torres, no Rafinha, no Danny Rodriguez, no Dani Olmo, no Pau Victor. So in the 62nd minute, Ansu Fati, Pau Cubarsí, and Sergio Dominguez on for Lewandowski, Inigo Martinez, and Koundé. It was interesting to note that Fermin took up the center forward spot. That tells you that Flick either sees Ansu as a left winger solely, or he basically sees Ansu out of the squad and expects him to be leaving due to some work that his agent Jorge Mendes is going to be doing. As I said on the watch along, Ansu's making almost 14 million euros. So outside of the Prem, I don't know what team is going to be willing to take on some of his salary for the player that he is at the moment. That is the concern. It was also a concern jumping back in time a little bit to the 52nd minute, those head injuries. It looked really nasty, the collision with Inigo Martinez. There was a worry, certainly, that the player wasn't conscious when he hit the ground, so hopefully he is all right. Again, I never want to see head injuries. It's the scariest part of the sport. If there was a way to get rid of them completely, you would, but it's part of the sport. Injuries do happen in sports like that, but yeah, head injuries are always the scariest thing. 65th minute, Ansu had 2 shots blocked. You always want it to happen, but I almost got a feeling in today's match that even if he scored a goal, I don't know if that really changes the calculation to where he is. Like Ferran Torres was scoring in La Liga before this most recent injury to him, which he seems like just a little knock. So Ferran Torres was scoring. He is the backup forward. And Hansi Flick might need other forwards to rely on, but do you rely on Ansu Fati? I'm not sure. I think he might just burn out Rafinha, who got a full rest, wasn't even in the squad today because of the ability to rest and rotate Rafinha today. So I don't know how much Ansu would even feature if he sticks around. 1 minute later, 66th minute, Gabi gave it away on one side of the field, but then De Jong and Gerard Martin, they made me sweat a little bit. Those two didn't stop the counter, and their positioning was kind of wacky and wild on the counter, but Gabi put on a Superman cape, came flying in to dispossess 2 different Barbastro players. Gabi just being Gabi, whether it's the round of 32 in the Copa del Rey or it's how far you see him in the Champions League this season, it doesn't matter. All the stakes are the same for him. Szczesny today wasn't really tested, but he's an experienced keeper that I think also helped Araujo's return. I think just having all that experience back there was helpful to the back line. And I know, yes, Inigo Martinez, very experienced player, but to have Inigo Martinez be in form and then adding 2 experienced players back to that back line, I think it just kind of helped everything out today. Sergio Dominguez, I thought he also had his best first team appearance so far this season. Just last week, he started for Barca Athletic and got some minutes there, which he hasn't really been getting this season because he's been busy on the first team bench and making some spot appearances for the first team. So I just think just getting a run out with Barca Athletic was helpful to him. I would love to see him in the spring, especially as Araujo is back, be with Barca Athletic a bit more and have to, even yo-yo, get on a bus by himself sometimes to get to the first team bench, and just know that he's going to be getting even less minutes for the first team. But I thought he had a good showing in his time off the bench today. Gerard Martin, I had mentioned him in the first half. He had more good moments than bad moments, maybe 1 or 2 where I was like, Gerard Martin. But I'm glad that Balde was not featuring in this game at all. Don't even put him at risk to get injured because he's going to have to play every single big match this season. And Gerard Martin, good time for him to play 90 minutes. 80th minute, Toni Fernandez. I'm saying that I will be using Toni time as a future headline, but I'm not going to use it yet today. So it wasn't a headline, but it was Toni time in the 80th minute. Makes his senior debut, his official senior debut, I should say. He did the preseason with the first team, but makes his official senior debut at 16 years young. Jeez Louise, on for Pablo Torre, a justified applause for Pablo Torre. In the 88th minute, that's when Toni Fernandez had his one moment, we'll say, in this game. He feeds Fermin Lopez, taking the central channel there. Tried, that being Fermin, to chip the backup keeper, but he had a shot blocked. Unfortunate for him, but yeah, fun to see Toni Fernandez get on the ball. 84th minute, I should also mention too, Ansu Fati had the square ball to him by Fermin Lopez, but the goalkeeper stopped it. So both Ansu and Fermin Lopez there in the last 6-7 minutes did have opportunities. Couldn't find the back of the net, which does kind of sum up their seasons and the minutes they've had so far this year. Hopefully, hey, Barcelona would love to have them find the back of the net in the rare moments that they're going to get. Well, Ansu, more rare moments than Fermin, but yeah, Fermin, hopefully he starts scoring soon. Good to see Lewandowski get the brace today, and great to see Pablo Torre be the man of the match. Pablo Torre will likely be featuring again, I would expect, in the Spanish Super Cup against Athletic Club on Wednesday afternoon. That's a 1:30 p.m. East Coast start time, so 7:30 p.m. CET. So I will have that on the watch along on Big Up. So please join me for that one, and that'll be a whole lot of fun. Remember, give this video a like if you enjoyed it, you like my 5 headlines. Leave a comment, that helps the algorithm as well on YouTube. You can follow along on the podcast apps, become a Patreon for as low as $3. The merch store is another opportunity to help me out, as well as becoming a member for free on Big Up. All right, I think that does it for this one. So, as I always say, you know those two words, Forza Barca.